literally witnessed the birth of house music. I was playing along, and the next thing I know, the keyboard just fell off the keyboard stand into the crowd, right?
Brilliant.
The music's still going. I'm like, I'm driving around listening to Pete Tong, and Pete Tong played it as his essential new tune. It actually really affected me. I think it put me in a bit of a downward spiral for quite a bit. I got a bit depressed by it. I think I can imagine. I think it affected my productions. I certainly stopped remixing. We called ourselves Dino Fingers Ramirez and Jez the Fireball Jackson. Did Top of the Pops. But I told you I was going to get there. I just feel so proud. It makes me emotional. But don't ever leave a sound on its own anywhere, because I will take it. Right.
So I'm here with the legend that is D. Ramirez, Grammy nominated. Pop house icon, I think fair to say as well. Dean.
Hello, Peter.
Let's go right back to the beginning. Let's go to where it all started. Take us back to Sheffield, those early days. Like, what even first pulled you into music in those days at the start?
Well, I'll try and keep this short because I'm very passionate about this part of my life, and I think it's the reason why I'm here now, because of Sheffield. For some reason, I think like somebody or people have likened Sheffield to places like Detroit. You know, it was like a sort of downtrodden old industrial city where everything sort of just died, and there was like loads of people jobless, and so therefore this like whole scene grew up in Sheffield. It sort of exploded because literally everybody was on the dole, right? So they got loads of time to make music, and it just spawned so many different bands and so many famous bands as well. You got like the Human League, you got ABC, you got Cabaret Voltaire, you got the Arctic Monkeys came along later, and I think it's all because it's such a reaction, shit
isn't
place.
It? Yeah. Yeah. So that's a reaction to like culture, to what's actually happening there.
Yeah.
In terms of it being like a city, what's going on.
Yeah, totally. And so like the vibe in Sheffield was really like it sort of geared towards music. You go to this place called The Limit, and you would see, this is where Phil Oakey famously met the two girls from the Human League at The Limit dancing. Okay. And he just liked the way that they looked. You'd go there, and then it was like this thing called Jive Turkey, which was the first time I heard like Warp Records playing like minimal techno in 1989. Wow.
So this is like you as a teenager, a young teen going out and experiencing this, trying out these clubs.
Yeah, yeah. And then one of the most sort of influential ones for me was going to see Graham Park at the Steamer, it's the Lead Mill.
Okay.
The Lead Mill is now gone. I think they're going to close it down, which is a real shame. But for me, first hearing house music in the Lead Mill, played by Graham Park, and he was playing like sort of a bit of hip hop and a bit of sort of stuff, and then he dropped house music, and it was like 1986. Just blew my mind. And
so you had a pull to music already.
Yeah.
And was it always electronic music that pulled, that was grabbing you as well, grabbing your attention?
No, because I was into the Smiths. I was into all sorts of bands at school. I was a singer at school. I played a bit of like a few instruments. And so I wasn't really into electronic music. I mean, we dabbled because my friend had synths, we had computers, ZX Spectrum and all this stuff. But we were in bands, And so then when electronic music finally came along, it was just like the two and two just all came together. And
what an exciting time that must have been.
Yeah.
So really that was at the start of it, the explosion of electronic music, but house music as well, right, coming through.
Literally witnessed the birth of house music.
Amazing.
I mean, how lucky am I to be able to say that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And still to this day, it gives me goosebumps to hear it.
Was that do you think that was the change though? Like that, so say for instance, that experience you had with Graham Park, and he's mixing it up, bit of hip hop, bit of house. Was that when something triggered for you? As in electronic music, this is where I want to go, this is what I want to do.
Oh yeah, just to experience it and see the reaction from those records, and just to see and realize you're listening to something you've never heard before, and it's a completely brand new scene, and just sort of and seeing the reaction from it, the people on the dance floor dancing to this totally brand new music that was just something else from nowhere.
So at that point, was you like, where's this music come from? I want to make it. Like, what was the draw that pushed you towards that part of it?
Yeah, so when I first heard Graham Park, that kind of blew my mind. Then I went out a little bit more, and then when we went to this other place, there was another club, some legendary clubs, and it was hearing LFO by LFO.
Okay, yeah, what tune?
What a tune, right? And in a club, and it was played by, and the guys who made it were in the club at the same time. It was Warp Records. Wow. They ran a club. And
So that's legendary when you think about that now.
Yeah. And I was talking to Miles from Toolroom, and he introduced me to this book. And the book, I forget the name of the book, but it was all about that time. And basically, it was Sheffield and North Yorkshire and Leeds were actually the originators of house music, right? Of a certain type of house music.
So we're talking the UK version of Chicago here.
Yeah, that's right.
That.
Everybody thinks it came from London. And it didn't.
No.
And I want to set the record straight. It did not.
Right here, right now. The record has been set.
Yeah.
I love it.
It came from, and it was a particular type of bassline bleep, it was called, sort of real sub-bass, boop, 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 like really minimal LFO style. Yeah. But it was Sheffield that was championing this sound.
So then how did that lead you to getting into the world of production? Studios, synthesizers, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And because I heard it, I thought, wow, this is so simple that I could make this music. And lo and behold, I sort of collected a couple of pieces of kit, a few synthesizers, boop, 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 made the bleeps.
Making the bleeps.
Yeah, it was kind of, it was like 808 drum machine, kind of beats and boo, 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 really like sort of jacking, but nothing going on, like 4 tracks of music. And lo and behold, I made it. And I actually got signed to Warp.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
Was that your first thing that you got signed then?
There was, what happened? Yeah, it was actually. Me and a couple of other guys made this track and we were signed to Warp Records.
That's insane.
Can you believe it?
Right at the beginning to
Right at the very beginning, yeah. But it didn't come out because the Warp Records lost their distribution deal, so we were at that point where they had to sort of ditch a few of the artists.
Oh, the unreleased archives.
Yeah.
Can we get the DATs from back then?
Yeah, it's out. You can get it. It's called Detrimental Rewind and Move. It's just one vinyl that was, and
That's
because
amazing.
we pressed it, as we just thought, I will press it.
That's amazing.
From that time.
That's so cool. So I want to fast forward a little bit because before Ramirez, which I think is what you're known for now as an artist, we had the Lisa Marie experience, and this must have been how much longer was it after this time of like discovering, getting into synthesizers? Because it's a very different story to talking about the more bleepy sounds and getting signed to Warp, to what is the Lisa Marie experience, which I think a lot of people listening to this won't even necessarily realise that you're behind that.
No,
that you are one half of Lisa Marie experience and had quite a big hit. As well, which that's a really different direction, a real trajectory launch from there.
I know. I was just determined to sort of make it somehow. I had no doubt that I was gonna be, and I wanted to be on top of the pops. I wanted to be a pop star entire life.
Was that like a drive? Was that a drive for you, like a level of success, like wanting that sort of fame?
Yeah,
shall we call it?
But it wasn't a want. I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't doubt it for a minute.
I love that. But that's what you need. You've got to have belief, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to have inner belief. You've got to have that drive.
Yeah, that's how I know. When myself and you talk to students, because we deal with a lot of students.
Yeah,
that's what it all comes down to. Just belief in yourself. Yeah. And I know it because I lived it.
The real want, the real drive. So how did that project happen? Like, how did you team up with the other half of the Lisa Marie experience? How did that track happen?
Oh, wow. So back in the bleep days, we used to go to this said club that played this music, and it was honestly the best. It would drip. The sweat would drip from the ceilings, right?
Old school.
Old school. And this music was just used to blow people's minds. I met the guy who became my partner in the Lisa Marie experience in this club. He was a DJ.
Oh, okay.
And I was dabbling with the music. So we were like, should we ever go making something? And he came, and I used to be a hairdresser. And in the basement of the hairdresser's salon, I had a room. It's a tiny little room. And so he used to come into this room and we'd just knock out tune after tune.
So was that the first official studio?
Yeah.
Basement of the hairdressers.
Basement of the hairdressers.
I love that.
Yeah. I used to sleep there as well because I lived quite a long way away. So for me, it was easier just to sleep in the basement. So I'd get up like all disheveled and go and do my clients.
Come up cutting hair with some bed hair and everyone's just like, is that a new hairstyle? Yeah. Start a new trend.
Exactly. I literally slept downstairs in the basement.
Brilliant. And so do you think, did he bring like a different side of it in terms of musicality or like what he was into?
Yeah.
Like how did the sound come around that you aimed that way? Or was it just like you say, you were like, I want to make something that's going to be accessible, that's going to be poppy or something?
Yeah, so I wasn't really going for pop music. He was the DJ, so he would bring his vinyl in.
Okay.
And on every piece of vinyl, and I'll still do this now, there was something you could steal from the sample, right? I
I
always
love
trip
the
up.
fact you're going straight there now. Obviously, I know you for you're sample king. And we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll
Honestly,
get there. But
don't ever leave a sound on its own anywhere because I will take it. Right? Sorry, I'm sorry for you all now.
Oh.
And he used to bring his vinyl in, and we'd be like, "Oh yeah, let's nick that beat from there. We'll take that little beep." And there'd be a stab sound in the middle of the track, or some kind of weird sound that we could just we'd sample it, and we only had like 4 seconds of sampling time because basically gear was expensive then. It's not like you didn't have a laptop. You had to have a sampler, mixing desk, drum machine, synthesizers.
Yeah.
I didn't have any money. I was on a YTS scheme earning £27.50 a week, right?
That's mad, isn't it?
I don't know how I managed to cobble this gear together. But so we'd sample his records and just knock out these mad tracks until eventually a record label heard one of these tracks and they were like, well, a multiple of these tracks. They were like, oh my God, these are great. We need to put them out. And but they were highly illegal. Like one of them had a Michael Jackson sample in it.
Okay.
Mama say, mama sa, mama pusa, mama say. We sampled that.
Amazing.
Like in the very early 90s, like 1991. So we couldn't release it. So it had to come out as a white label. Back in the days it was
of course.
And so what they did was they printed a picture of Michael Jackson's head on the front, and it just said the Lisa Marie Experience. Because he just got married.
I've got one of the Lisa Marie Experience white labels on vinyl. It's just Lisa Marie Experience, I think, and a star.
Yeah,
I remember it's sitting in my studio at work. Actually.
Mate, that's going to be worth some money.
I love it. I'll get you to sign it. So you wasn't a DJ then. The other partner was a DJ and bringing that in. So did that push you towards DJing at that time, or does that come later?
Well, see, yeah, it's a really interesting story, isn't it? So we were knocking out these tunes in the basement of the salon. Then 3-Beat came along and said, right, we want to put these out. Put them out as white labels. Totally illegal. Sold thousands of these records. Of course, amazing. Then the industry pricked up and they were like, right, let's... and then we got signed by Positiva. They came along, and then the next thing we did was
just quickly. I love the way you throw it in, like these massive record labels. 3-Beat, Positiva just came along.
Yeah,
but is that how it was back then? Was it a bit more, because obviously this is still quite early days in the scene, evolving as well, isn't it? I mean, we've moved on a little bit from the early days of that club in Sheffield here, haven't we?
Yeah.
So where are we now? Sort of in the early 90s, mid 90s?
I'd say like 91, 92, yeah.
And so these labels, they're kind of out there, like ground level networking, trying to find stuff, hungry to find stuff as well, right?
Yeah. And I used to do these things called live PAs, which is basically I'd turn up with my keyboards and do a live set in between, like Guru Josh or someone like that.
Yeah.
And it was funny because one time I was playing and I used to play to backing tracks. I would play live stuff, but there'd be a backing track. I couldn't do it all, right? I was playing along, and the next thing I know, the keyboard just fell off the keyboard stand into the crowd, right?
Brilliant.
The music's still going. I'm like, okay.
It's like the modern pop artist miming with the mic, and they drop it. It's still coming out.
It's still coming out.
What was that famous one in the 90s? Was it Betty Boo or someone did it, wasn't it? The music just kept playing.
But it was, funnily enough, it was those PAs that got me the attention, because I played once before Pete Tong.
Okay.
And I played some of these tracks, and Pete Tong's like, I've got to sign you to FFRR. And because I've been friends with him since those days, like 30 years, And at that time, so then 3-Beat got wind of it and sent somebody along that same day to get me to sign this dodgy contract. It's like, right, we need to sign you, because they knew that Tongi was after me.
They really wanted it.
They really wanted it, yeah.
That's amazing, man.
So before we continue, if you're watching this podcast, you're probably a dance music producer trying to break through. And that's exactly why we created the Toolroom Academy Production Certificate course. It's an online program that certainly changed the game in house music education. Over 3 months, we write a track together to a professional level. You receive professional A&R feedback and technical feedback along the way every single week. And you'll join a really supportive, genuine community of like-minded producers as well. Our students have gone on to get signed to labels like Toolroom, Armada, Spinning, Nervous, Solid Grooves. They've started DJing in boiler rooms and touring internationally. If that sounds like the next step for you, check out toolroomacademy.com for more info.
And obviously, let's talk about, so the actual record, Keep On Jumping, right?
Yeah.
So that actually went in the charts.
Yes.
And you actually went on top of the pops.
Oh, I did top of the pops. I told you I was going to get there.
I love it.
Told you.
I love that.
My childhood.
I mean, a lot of people might not even know what Top of the Pops is. It's not going anymore, but that was literally like the official charts on TV.
I know, I can't drop it in conversations anymore. People are like, what? Top of the what?
But that's a massive thing. So what effect did that have? That must have had a massive effect on your career.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't go in Tesco's anymore. Could. You know what I mean? It was a nightmare.
You loved tension. Come on. I bet you loved it.
Love it. Still love it.
But that must have really kicked things off in terms of career-wise. Like,
yeah.
Did you actually, was it at that point that you went, okay, this can be it. This can be a career for me?
Yeah, for sure. And it was, again, another interesting time because although we had a hit record, we had no money. My mate was DJing, my partner, who we made the records with, he was out there DJing, so at least making some money from that. And I was like, right, I'm going to stop hairdressing now and basically do this full time. But I had no money. I remember I used to smoke back then, so I used to have to find like tab ends of cigarettes off the floor, go and eat pot noodles and smash for dinner, you know what I mean? Because I was so broke. And yeah, he was DJing, and I was like, right, I'm gonna have to.
And that's even with having some big records out.
After being on top of the pops,
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, didn't get no advance or anything. It's like the money came eventually, but you know, and then after Keep On Jumping, we got all the remix offers came in, and we were like, we got. You know, and then we were getting really good fees. So it was only a short period of time.
Yeah.
But at that point is when I was like, I need to DJ. This is the only way I can make money.
Right.
Same now, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
It is a similar thing now, really. Yeah. A lot of producers that start as producers realise they've got to get out on the road and tour to actually bring the money in.
That's right.
So that was the drive for you starting to DJ.
Yeah.
And did it as well, like, obviously we'll talk more about DJing and touring, and because you've had a long career of that as well. But with the Lisa Marie experience, that, so let's say Keep On Jumping, which was a successful record, did that sort of change your focus of the type of music you were making? Did you think, right, this is the route we've got to go, this is the kind of music we've got to make?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, again, strange, because Keep On Jumping was a bit of an anomaly. We were actually sort of somebody introduced the sample, 3-beat, said, you should do this record. And of course it was a disco record, right? We were not doing disco music at that time. We were doing proper 90s piano bangers, right?
Right, yeah.
Which I'll talk to you about that as well in a minute. But this disco record came along, and this disco sample, we did it. I didn't even like the record. I hated Keep On Jumping. And then, of course...
See, that's so interesting you say that, though. And I think that's a reality for a lot of artists, a lot of producers, when they make certain records that become big records, you can actually have like a weird love-hate relationship with them.
Yeah.
So when you was making it then, was you a bit like, I'm not overly keen on this sample, but just going with it?
Just going with it, yeah. Just knocking it out and not realising, what would happen.
So when you finished it, you didn't actually think we've made a hit here?
Not really, no. I mean, it was kind of orchestrated by 3-beat. 3-beat saw the potential of the commerciality of us, of me, because I could kind of do anything. It's a bit like that now, really. And he sort of really pushed me down that commercial route, and he orchestrated the whole thing. John Barlow from 3-beat. That was an amazing bit of marketing that he did there.
Very clever.
But then I ended up in a situation I didn't really want to be in.
Because that's what I was going to say, because obviously that's made you realise, right, certain type of music we've made, that's connected, that's given us a boost, launching a career. Mm-hmm. Did you feel comfortable doing that? Did you want to make more music like that?
No. And I'll tell you what happened, because we were, of course... It was such a big hit. It was like number 6 in the UK charts. We went on top of the pops. And it was
See, that's massive, isn't it? Top 10.
Top 10. And, so it's and it's been played in all of the Luminar clubs, I'd say. The kind of clubs like the normal sort of, normal clubs.
Yeah, high street clubs. And I think that's probably the true sign of like a hit that crosses over, isn't it?
Yeah.
That gets played by sort of big DJs actually in the scene,
the
club scene, and then your more glitzy commercial venues as well.
That's right. So it's in the glitzy clubs. And of course, back then, the glitzy clubs had the money, right? So they would book us. We'd be going and doing these big glitzy commercial clubs, playing all this underground house music, which we're into, going straight over everybody's heads. Everybody's like, what? I remember there was a queue of people, you know, they used to have like a pad of paper, so for requests at the front, right?
Yeah.
And there was one girl, she was stood there all mad, looking really like pissed off. She got to the front, she's handed me this piece of paper all disgruntled. She goes, I haven't worked all week to listen to this hip hop shite. I was like, God, I've got to get out of here. This is awful.
Oh my God. And was you then like obviously traveling up and down the country and stuff, doing all these gigs?
He let like 4 or 5 times a week, yeah, just doing those kind of gigs, like real commercial stuff. And of course, our agent. So, and of course, because we were commercial, we weren't cool. You know what I mean? So,
but then you're trying to play cool when you're going to the commercial venues.
Right, yeah.
The funny thing is like I've even seen instances of this in recent years, in the last 5-10 years as well. Artists that have a hit commercially, but actually they then use it and turn and sort of go off in a more underground avenue, which is where they wanted to go.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is really interesting.
Yes, and yeah, it wasn't a great time. I've got to say, I did not. That was not why I got into it. I am very passionate about this scene, and I absolutely love the music. So for me to bastardize it in that way, I wasn't proud of it at the time.
And I suppose the era you're doing it in as well. I mean, let's think about this. This is like early 90s, that early first part towards the middle of the 90s, which I think, and it's not just because I've experienced it as well, but it's a real golden era of house music because it was fresh, it was new sounds coming every few years with new advances in more synthesizers and keyboards and stuff. But obviously, it was following real changes in society and in culture and stuff. And do you think living through that now and with where we are today, do you think the 90s, that sense of excitement, something fresh, political changes, freedom, do you think it gave producers, do you think you had more freedom in the 90s to make different stuff? I know you obviously had that hit then, but originally you were starting to making squelchy bleepy stuff, and then you've made this commercial hit. Do you think there was more freedom as a producer to like experiment with different sounds and be a bit more free as an artist and a producer?
Yeah, and I don't think now we've got so many subgenres of music, haven't we? Which I think now it's almost like you've got to choose a lane now, haven't you? You've got to say, right, this is what I'm doing. You're not allowed to go off on tangents so much now, are you?
It's interesting, isn't it? I think it's felt like that for quite a while, although we are seeing some new artists, especially here in the UK. I'm seeing some new artists that feel like it's a revival of that, because obviously, you know, we've got this massive trend at the moment where we're being influenced by the 90s again.
Yeah.
And there are some artists that are doing this and they're releasing all sorts of different stuff, something trancey, something underground techie, something hard house.
Yeah.
And they seem to be pulling it off as a standalone artist. But I think there's a different hype machine that's pushing them, something different.
Yeah.
But back then, you know, you experiencing that, do you think there felt like there was more freedom?
Yeah.
Like compared to now, like you say, with all of these specific subgenres and spaces in the industry.
That's right. It's so specific now. You're not allowed to do this. There's so many sort of chin strokers, aren't there? Like, oh, no, you can't do that kind of thing.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Whereas before, it was house music. People were excited about it. You could wang in a rave stab every now and then, and it'd be like, oh, yeah.
Unless you're playing a commercial glitzy club and you've got that angry woman who only wants her cheesy R&B. So like, where did you go from there? Where did you go from that, from what you were doing with the Lisa Marie experience? Did you then sort of pull away from that eventually and start to experiment more?
I mean, it's funny because I didn't realize back then how big we'd become, because there were a few remix artists, there were Full Intention, Rhythm Masters, and there was us, the Lisa Marie experience. And it's like to know that you were like the top of the echelon of, you know, at the time it was just like, I was just a kid from Sheffield. I didn't know my arse from my elbow, you know. And it was like, and looking back, I'm thinking, how did I get there?
The thing is, you obviously knew what you were doing and were talented in the studio, and using all the stuff that you had available then. Otherwise it wouldn't have been working. Yeah. Something was working for 3Beat and Pete Tong at FFRR to literally be like, here's a contract signed.
I know.
Do you know?
And I didn't realise it. And also as well, because of the sort of nature of the business, I got a little bit manipulated and kind of pulled in different directions. And I was just like young, wet behind the ears, kind of, I'll go with anything type of thing, you know.
So what changed? Where did D. Ramirez come from?
It came from those very said glitzy clubs, because I was like, screw this. I do not ever want to step foot in one of those clubs again. I'm going to get as far from that as possible. And because I was always into really underground music, and so was my mate. He was the same, and we were really frustrated with it all. Like, every week you'd have to go to one of these clubs, and you'd be just like, like that. There's no excitement. I'd get absolutely hammered, throw up on the way home. Driver had to like, it was just awful. And so I was like, no, I've had enough. We split up. We went our own ways. We're still friends now, but Neil, if you're watching, Neil, hello, mate. But then I was like, right, I'm going to start again from scratch. I need to do it from scratch. And again, a bit of a long story, but in Sheffield, I met some guys who ran a label called Choo Choo Records, and it was a progressive house label. And they were like, do you want to do a record for us? And I was like, I've never made this music before. He goes, go on, do one. Anyway, I did one, and it was like proper dirty filth. And it just like, and they put it out, and everybody went bonkers for it. Everybody loved it. So I was like, okay, right, we need a name. At the time, I had this piss take name. We called ourselves Dino Fingers Ramirez and Jez the Fireball Jackson.
That's awesome. I don't even remember. I don't think I knew that story. Dino Fingers Ramirez.
Some people still call me Fingers.
Can we go back to this? Why don't we start releasing some music as this? I'm not even going to ask why it's Fingers. I don't even know.
You want to see what I could do with these?
No. Mate, that's crazy. So at that point, that record blowing up, did that change everything? Change like, okay, this is the direction I might go, take this more serious.
Yeah, it was a total experiment, and everybody loved it. People like Steve Lawler were coming out of the woodwork saying, who is this guy? This is unbelievable. Again, I just sampled a load of noises from other people. But it was actually, listening back, great record, still stands up to this day. 30 years, 1999 it was.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The thing is, you joke about the sampling thing, but that's what house music was. That's the creation of it. It's always been about sampling, right?
People have got to stick up their arse about sampling, right? And I need to put these people straight. It's like the whole of Daft Punk career is based on sampling.
Yeah.
Say no more, right? Stop giving me shit about sampling a beat off somewhere, because I get it a lot on my YouTube channel.
Do you? Do you get a lot of stick for
That's
it?
cheating. That's lazy. It's like, okay.
The thing is, but that's where house music actually started.
Of course it did. It's all
Literally,
recycled.
It's just sampling stuff and old disco records, and it's it's mad, isn't it?
People don't realise. They just think it's cheating. It's not. That's how it's made.
He's the sample king.
Yeah.
So D. Ramirez then, okay, so you started getting into that. You were working on some more like proggy, tougher sounds, and this progressed. You managed to turn this into a kind of career.
Yeah. Yeah.
So did you manage to DJ off the back of some of these records?
Well, that's right. So I was still DJing at the time as the Lisa Marie Experience, because we made such a name.
You had a bit of a crossover here as well, because you've got to pay the bills, right?
Got to pay the bills. And I was making records for DJs like Alistair Whitehead. I was helping him out with his tune. I was like sort of engineering for people.
So you started in the engineering world back then, as well. Okay, amazing.
And I was working with a lady called Angel on one of the records we'll talk about in a sec. I was helping her out with her stuff, and so I was still kind of doing that. And I used to have a residency in Nottingham at the Market Bar, which was all Lisa Marie Experience stuff. And so yeah, while I was doing the D. Ramirez thing, that was just a total experiment for me. It was just, I love this music. Timo Maas came along, he blew my mind. Super Chumbo came along, he blew my mind. I was like, oh, dirty, filthy tribal house music. Let's make some of this.
Amazing.
But it wasn't making me any money. It wasn't going anywhere. It's a brand new project, off from nowhere.
Yeah.
So I wasn't DJing, and but then a few records in, I did a couple of tracks for Choo Choo Records, and then Rob Raw from Phonetic asked me to do a remix. Anyway, I remixed it in this style. I'm driving around listening to Pete Tong, and Pete Tong played it as his essential new tune.
Oh, amazing.
3 records in. Yeah.
I bet you, that must have been a feeling, right?
Oh, mate, honestly, I nearly crashed the car. Right?
I don't know what I would have done if I'd have had that. I know how excited I've been just from getting something like that. An essential new tune.
Essential, and I was just like, oh my God.
That was the pinnacle for so many years, wasn't it? It still is now.
Yeah, literally just finished it on the Friday night. It's essential new tune. It's like,
that's wicked.
And I was like, okay, right, I'm onto something here. And here we go. And then the remixes started coming in. So I sort of, did quite a few remixes. No DJing. No gigs at all. Nobody was interested in the DJing side. Yeah, but then I kept doing remix after remix, track after track, and then it got to a point where people didn't know what to do with me because it was a different sound. It was quite a new sort of a thing. So I thought, right, I'm going to have my own label. So I set up I did 2 labels actually, just so I could release this music without people going, oh, I'm not sure about that. I was like, I'm going to do it myself.
That's pretty cool. It's quite a big leap of faith, but I think that is something we spoke about at the academy actually, and at different conferences and stuff like that. Mark's often quoted about saying this, if you're not fitting, then start something.
Exactly.
Start your own movement.
Mark is the ultimate example of this, isn't he?
So Toolroom started.
Same thing. Nobody knew who Mark was. Didn't want to touch his music.
Yeah, just didn't believe in
myself.
it as much as he did. So it was like, right, I'll do my own thing.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a whole separate labour of love, but amazing. So I want to fast forward a little bit because you're touching on remixes, and there's a big one that I want to talk about, which I think everyone listening will obviously know the track. Some may not even know that originally this was you, but this is going back to 2006. So Bodyrox, yeah. And you actually did a remix for this, and this was a global hit.
Yeah.
Your remix, but not actually as your remix.
Yeah.
As the original.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was around at this time, and I remember first hearing this remix, and I think I can safely say that remix of Bodyrox, that actually coined the start of a whole new sound. The electro house phase literally started it. I'd safely, confidently say that you were the creator of that, and everyone sort of tried to get that sound afterwards.
Yeah.
But this is a massive part of your career, and there's quite a big story behind this because that absolutely blew up, didn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
As a remix, it was massive.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, actually, I was doing Ramirez to be trying to be underground and trying to be taken seriously, right?
Yeah.
Next thing, it's #1 in the charts again, right? So I'm like, that was screwed. That's out
crazy.
the window.
But when you made it, so that remix, when you made it, when you finished it, because just the whole synthesizer that you're using, the way that synth goes, the bass, everything on that sound. When you finished it, did you sort of go, what have I created here? Or, oh my God, this is something big. Did you have any inkling yourself when you finished it?
This is the funny thing. I have no clue about any of this stuff. I'm just like in my own little world.
Just made it.
Yeah, just make these things up. And then people go, oh God, I heard that record at Notting Hill Carnival. I'm like, really?
Because it was so different to the original.
Yeah.
So at the time, was you not inspired by something, or did you go in the studio and just jam, or do you know what? I'm just going to do something completely different and rip up the rule book.
I'll let you all into a little secret here, and I don't really know if I've ever told anybody this, but it was inspired by Booker Shade Body Move. Is it, which Booker Shade record is it? Boom, 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 boom. What's it called?
Right, amazing. Yeah, so you've never shared that with me before. That's amazing.
And I literally took that record and went, wow. And I sort of used the arrangement of it. Like we do.
Yeah.
Like we teach. So I got the arrangement. I got it in the DAW, and I was sort of followed along with the arrangement. The sounds are different, of course, but very much based on Booker Shade.
That's amazing. That's a first. I've never heard you speak about that.
Yeah, I know. You can't really.
But the sound was so fresh at the time of the electro house thing, and it totally connected and blew up. And then just this explosion from there, and you've been open about this in other discussions about, obviously it blew up, but it wasn't credited as your remix, and it wasn't something that you made money from, was it, in terms of it blowing up?
Well, I did get the credit of it being my remix, because that's when my DJ career took off.
No, I mean in terms of the original, when it sort of blew up in the charts and stuff.
And it was one of those ones, Pete, where they gave me this track to remix, and it got so many parts. It got Normski rapping on it, right? The original.
That's mad.
They got all these different vocal bits. It was like a real mishmash of all sorts of stuff. And I was like, nah, didn't use any of it, apart from one tiny bit that went Bodyrox, like that.
Yeah.
And I just made my own track. And it was a whole new thing. Again, experiment into, I'm just going to see how far I can take this.
Yeah.
Not realising that it's going to be such a big hit.
Yeah.
Of course, along the way, signing the contracts to waiver all my rights to anything, any money, any publishing, anything, but completely rewrote this whole record from scratch. So that what you hear there is all me, nothing from theirs.
Yeah, and quite often remixes are using quite a lot of parts, aren't they?
That's right. Yeah. And then so this started blowing up as an instrumental, and then they came back later on and said, we've put a new vocal on it. Not the original vocal that was originally on the original track. Luciana did a re-vocal over my remix, which I then went and I had to put it into the track because I had all the parts. So I even did that, and they still owe me money for that as well. So, and the whole fee I got was £500.
Wow.
Yeah.
For the remix.
For the remix, yeah. And I said to the guys who made the track, I said, guys, look, come on. Don't you think you should cut me in on some kind of commission for this? And they were like, oh, we got to pay Normski. We got to do this. We got to, so many different people involved in this.
Yeah.
There is no more money left. I'm like, well, that's looking back in hindsight. I was like, well, I made that record. That it wouldn't have been that record if it wasn't for me.
Yeah, that must have been quite tough to accept that and see the success of that record.
Yeah,
like blowing up like that and just thinking, I wrote that entire record.
Yeah. It actually really affected me. I think it put me in a bit of a downward spiral for quite a bit. I got a bit depressed by it. I think I can imagine. I think it affected my productions. I certainly stopped remixing after that. I tried a court thing, but that didn't go anywhere. And it was hard. Yeah,
I can imagine. And looking back now, though, do you think like, okay, real tough thing to go through, but you must have learned a lot from the industry, and especially contracts and protecting yourself as an artist from that experience?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, now there's a few things I would never do, which is A, sign any kind of contract like that. B, always make sure like you keep hold of your masters, as in like if you make a track, don't just give it to the first label that wants it. Kind of think about, what's going to happen in 5 years.
Yeah.
If that track becomes a hit, you can get it back and you can then repurpose it, kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly. Everything happens for a reason, Pete, for sure. And it was hard at the time, but I'm a lot more, rounded and tougher for it.
And the thing is, I think people not that it necessarily equates to money and from that side, which would be nice, but generally people that know, and everyone in the industry knows and knew that that's your sound, your remix. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know, knowing you, that, you still get people coming up to you and talking to you about it a lot now and praising you about that. Yeah. And I think that's a special thing that you own. No one can take that away from you.
That's very true.
You did that and you created that. And like I said, from my, as me in my young 20s at the time, and I'm playing tunes, rinse that record. And it's so much stuff that followed. And people like Axwell, Steve Angelo, Sebastian Grosso, just before the Swedish House Mafia, I think it influenced so much of that sound and style. Yeah. They were producing under another name as well. And so much stuff was coming out. And it was all this tough, harsh electro sound. So I think that started it. And I think that's something to be proud of.
Yeah, and it got into the drum and bass scene as well, which I remember meeting Andy C for the first time. The legend Andy C, right? Absolute god. Yeah. A beautiful guy, by the way. He's such a dude.
He is, isn't he?
I didn't even know it was him. Somebody had to say, that's Andy C. I was like,
mid conversation with him. And you're like,
shit. And he was like, dude, that record, I took it into the studio and we were like, listen to this. And everybody's like, whoa. And they were like,
and they got massively inspired.
Got massively inspired by that record in the drum and bass scene.
Do you know what? That makes total sense as well. Because I like a bit of drum and bass. And I've followed the scene. And that did go through quite a bit of it went quite electro-y.
It did, yeah.
Quite a lot of stuff on RAM in that time did as well.
Yeah.
Some of the synths they were using over the bass was all like twangy.
Yeah.
And mad.
So now, if you're listening to this, you probably already know that being a great producer or DJ is just part of the journey now. These days, breaking through takes so much more as well. From social media and brand building to online marketing, music business, getting gigs and networking as well. That's why we built the Toolroom Academy Artist Development Masterclass program. It's a 12-month program that takes you through it all. You've got over 200 hours of video tutorial content, plus live calls every week and regular mentoring check-ins to keep you on track. So if you're serious about your career in dance music, head to toolroomacademy.com to find out more info.
So moving past that, obviously the link up with Mark
Yeah.
So massive part of your career, link up with Mark and Toolroom. And I think let's hang it around a huge record that people will know you for. Massive record in Toolroom's history, which was Downpipe with Underworld. I mean, even just talking about it, that's quite a legendary thing to like, isn't it?
Bonkers, isn't it?
The fact you've made a record with Underworld. Like, how did that even come together? What's the actual real story of how that record started and came together?
Well, firstly, I get on the guest list for Underworld shows now. Can you imagine? That's
That's so cool.
They were all my heroes. I absolutely adored Underworld.
Yeah.
And now I just call them up and say, I'm going to come to your show.
That's
It's
so cool.
Yes. But how did it come about? Well, me and Mark were working together. I was living in Rotherham at the time. So Mark had to travel all the way up from Maidstone, like a good, 6-hour journey to Rotherham. And you know what Mark's like. He would often like set off a bit late and,
Yeah.
And so as a consequence, the record back and forth took us 1 year to make. And we would do it. He'd go and play it and he'd be like, oh, we need to do this. And of course, I'd have to wait for him to come back. And
Did it start as just an instrumental then? Are you two just working together on a track?
yeah. And Mark being Mark, because if anybody knows what Mark's like, he has these grand ideas and he just goes off on a tangent. You're like, what are you on about? We're going to get Underworld in on it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Of course he goes and gets Underworld.
Honestly, he surprised me so much over the years where he does that. He throws these bold statements and you're like, or comes in with a track with the most ridiculous sample and it gets it cleared. And that's his success. That's that vision
success.
And drive.
I wish I had a bit of that.
Was that a conversation that was actually had between you two?
Yeah.
And Mark just threw Underworld in. And
I'm going to get Underworld. I'm like, whatever, Mark. Yeah, right.
Love that. Absolutely love it.
It's like Underworld. They're my absolute heroes.
And was that literally what happened? Did you get the track to them?
Yeah.
And Cole Hyde was like, I'm up for this.
Yeah, absolutely. They loved it. Next thing, we're in Underworld studio producing their album.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
Actually, talking to them both, who again are just absolutely amazing, down to earth dudes, like just like us, kind of thing.
Amazing.
But for years, I worshipped these guys,
and suddenly you're working.
And
with them.
suddenly there I am in their studio making music for them.
That record was massive, though. And again, I remember at the time, I remember being with Mark and he was playing it. I think it was in Amnesia in Ibiza, and it was quite early on. And I can honestly say, sonically, that record was different to anything else at the time. When it came on, you suddenly heard this just like, anyone that knows the record will know what I'm talking about. Like just this weight in the mix, but this clarity and crispness.
Yeah.
It was really fresh at the time. It was a brilliant, brilliant record. And obviously you guys then went on to write some wicked collabs.
Yeah.
In those heydays of Toolroom, Colombian Soul was a massive record.
Yeah.
What was the more darker, harder one? Was it System?
System.
That
was so good.
That was wicked as well.
They weren't the great records.
It was brilliant, wasn't it? Like,
we had a real synergy.
I was about to say that. You two must have had like a real synergy and like a creative connection to be working that time.
Yeah.
Was that a lot of fun?
God, yeah. Working with Mark's great because he's just so bold. He just comes in like a bull in a china shop.
He does.
Do you know what I mean? And he's just like, yeah, let's do this. And you just do it. And you think, nah, this is never going to do anything. Next thing, it's huge.
It's massive.
It's massive. And you're like, what just happened?
And obviously, so then that was like a big start of a relationship working with Mark, not only Mark, Toolroom.
Yeah, Toolroom.
As well. Which, has been a huge part of your career, both musically and working with them. And obviously those days, in the early days, I was working for them back then as well. And, I'm not afraid to say it's cheesy, but I really looked up to you. You were one of my heroes and idols as a producer. And suddenly I'm like, and I'm sitting there like, oh my God, I'm talking to D. Ramirez and I'm getting to talk to him about his music. It was amazing. And some of those parties back in the day, Toolroom was in its real heyday.
Oh, yeah.
Like absolute roadblock events at Ministry of Sound.
Yeah. And Brixton Academy, you remember that one?
I remember Brixton Academy.
Oh, my God, I saw a few.
I got to warm up for you. Do you remember? me and Mark's Story went back to back and warmed up for you in Brixton Academy. And it was literally still one of the highlights for me. But for you, like, that relationship with Toolroom, was that a massive part? Did that really help the drive of your career during all that time?
Yeah, it was interesting because working together with Mark, Toolroom weren't really on my periphery. I didn't think that, but then they sort of commissioned me to do a couple of remixes as well, which did well, and then it just sort of kind of just went, it just all sort of came together.
I think that some of that as well, though, was because of the trend of music at the time as well, because you're making slightly more twisted tougher, darker stuff. And then the tech house of then was more tougher and proggy.
Yeah.
And sharp synths and electro-y. And I think your sound sort of merged a bit with that, didn't it?
It did,
and it's like...
Yeah. Because what happened with me as well, after the electro house thing, I'm not good with commerciality. I'm not one of those guys that will go, I'm going to make a shitload of money out of this.
Yeah.
And just go, I'm going to sell my soul to the devil and just go and take it.
Well, you had a taste of that back in the 90s with the Lisa Marie experience and didn't like it.
Didn't like it. Yeah. So I was like, no, it doesn't feel right morally, ethically to me to just sell my soul.
Yeah.
So I've always, whenever there's been commerciality and people start copying it, it starts becoming big, I walk away and I'll just go and do something completely different. And it has been to my detriment, I've got to say. I could have been way bigger but I've just gone, no, I'm not doing that.
You say that, but don't you think all of us do that in life? We look back at stuff and go, oh, I could have, maybe I should have, and I would have been there. But actually it's like, well, I mean, you said it earlier. I know it sounds cheesy when people say it, like things happen for a reason, but you didn't take that path. So there obviously wasn't that drive to keep pushing you that way. You've actually allowed yourself to follow your path a bit more, I don't know, maybe a bit more creative freedom. Like you've been free and just sort of following what you're enjoying and what you're liking.
Yeah. I don't just go along with whatever's cool. I don't just go along with whatever's big. And, I'm a real discerning about my music. I am one of those chin strokers. I'm a proper music snob.
The thing is, that's something to be said for that though, mate, massively in today, But I think what's really interesting is, you've had a career spanning over 30 years.
40 years.
I mean, that is amazing in this day and age, right? We see, especially...
I say through gritted teeth.
I think it's amazing. I think it's something to be hugely proud of, but you've not necessarily chased trends, tried to constantly stay relevant.
Yeah.
So there's obviously highs and lows during that time.
Oh, yeah.
There's times when you're successful, you're busy, the gig's diary. There's going to be times when it's down as well, right?
Oh, my word. The peaks and troughs in this business are unbelievable. Like, you're up there and you're like, whoa, I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be like, this is it. Next thing, you're back down at the bottom, smoking tab ends off the floor.
But do you not think this is the reality of it, of being an artist? And I don't think maybe new artists now, do they really think about this and really realise that is the reality of it? You're not just going to climb, because we're all shown the success now through social media and seeing artists being huge. Do you think people just think that's it?
Yeah.
That's it. When really reality is, there's going to be some ups and downs, right?
There's going to be some ups and downs. And how few people actually make it these days as well. I'm sure that's something we'll talk about.
Yeah.
It's, the pot has got way bigger.
Yeah.
Back in my day, there was something like 4,000 DJs. Now there's like 40 million DJs in the world.
It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah. So
like that, obviously, the collaborations with Mark, the collaborations with Toolroom were really like great part of that time of your career.
Yeah.
And you're busy gigging again, touring globally as well, right?
Yeah.
And playing the Ramirez name as itself is strong.
Yeah.
What were some of the low times that you experienced during that?
Oh, this is the thing. I mean, it's not all glamorous. Some DJs love the DJing life. They love to get on a flight. They love the whole process of turning up somewhere and going for dinner with the promoters, and and the whole thing's enjoyable. But for me, I was pretty scared most of the whole time, because I didn't have a tour manager. I was on my own a lot, and I'd be flying to Australia for the weekend, right? Jet lagged to death when you get there. Thrust into the limelight, 2 hours, and then you're back in your hotel room and you're on your own, And I found that very, very hard on me, because I'm a real introvert, and I'm not one that, I wouldn't go out and see the sights of Australia. I'd just hide in my hotel room, I don't go out. You know what I mean? So it was like accidental tourist, totally wasted on me. But I was just scared. I'd go to somewhere like Russia and they'd pick me up at the other side. They couldn't speak English, and you'd be like getting in this car thinking, this is the last everybody's going to see of me.
If you're a bit of an introvert and you're a bit of someone that worries about things, that's quite mad, isn't it?
Mad. And then some dude, he'd be like ex-race car driver, and he'd be like trying to show off in his like really fast car through the streets of Russia. You'd be like, this is me. I'm done.
A few hours ago, you was at home, and here you are in Russia in a car. You don't know anyone. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not sure I like this. This is not really something. Of course, when you get to the gig and you get on, and you riders there, and you've got a bottle of vodka, and you're getting into it. There's nothing finer. It's brilliant. You've got people in front of you literally adoring you. But that's only 2 hours of it. You know, you've got another 2 days of the other stuff.
Yeah.
Sort of, you know, the being on your own. And it's funny, I told you I was a hairdresser. They did a survey back in the day, and it was the happiest jobs to the least happiest jobs, right? So the happiest was the hairdresser. It went all the way down to the bottom. Solicitors, bankers, blah, 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 all the way down to the bottom. DJs.
Really? Is that Did you actually look at that? You're like, hang on a minute.
Yeah,
let's go back to hairdressing.
What have I done? I want to come back.
That's mad. Was there ever a time during any of that 40+ year career that you consider just walking away from it?
Yeah, I did walk away from it. Yeah, it got really hard to get gigs because I was considered as the sort of it was based on a hit record. It wasn't based on me as a DJ. My career came from the records I made. So people weren't interested in me as a DJ. They were interested in hearing that track.
Yeah.
One of them I hated, so I never used to play it anyway. So I always get complaints. Why didn't you play Keep On Jumping? You know what I mean? So I hated it.
That's something that's real though, isn't it? That's hard for artists to keep playing the same record all the time. So
then if you don't continue to keep having hit records, then your career just dies, you know, and it just went, it's harder and harder to get gigs. I never knew how I made those records in the first place. They were just flukes. So I couldn't recreate them. I didn't even know how I made them.
Yeah, that's mad.
So it's like, and then so eventually it just sort of dropped off, and I was like, and also as well, I realized how unhealthy it was for me. So it was at that point unhealthy in a way where I was self-destructing, you know, drinking too much.
She was partying hard as well as the toll on traveling, lack of sleep.
Yeah, lack of sleep.
The inconsistency of routine, all that sort of stuff, which has a massive toll anyway.
And I was married at the time, trying to maintain a relationship.
Yeah, see, that's so difficult.
You know, she didn't enjoy me going away. And then I'd come back and I'd have no sleep. I'd be hungover. I'd be a right miserable old so-and-so, you know. So I'd get back and needless to say, that didn't work. We were divorced not much long after.
That's a real toll. That's taking a real toll on things, isn't it?
Yeah.
So did you think like you're going to leave music altogether ever? Did you ever think like seriously? Did you ever think I'll go back to hairdressing or anything else?
No, never crossed my mind. I was like, there's something I can do here.
Okay.
And it happened to be I was in LA, living in LA actually for a while, and I got pulled into this college. They wanted me to do an interview thing, so I did some videos and college. And everybody's like, "You're really good at this teaching thing." I'm like, "What? I've never wanted to do that." But they just liked the way I came across and my voice and my personal abilityness, whatever the word is. And so then the sort of teaching thing opened up.
So that was the very start of it.
Yeah.
Of going from literally DJ booth to classroom.
Yeah. Yeah. Just somebody asked if I would come in and just do an interview, and it sort of went from there. And everybody's like, we really like your style. And I was like, oh, accidental teacher, you know, kind of. So anyway, I saw another way of getting out of DJing. So I made a conscious decision to go, no, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not healthy. I don't like chasing gigs. I don't like the gigs, the whole lifestyle anyway. I'm going to go behind the scenes and just take a step back, bow down, and, you know, go into the sort of background and become an engineer and a teacher and a ghost producer kind of thing. So,
and I mean, you say it like that, but that's a huge turning point in your career.
Yeah.
Something that you've been hugely successful with, like elevating other people's careers, helping their careers, writing tunes for people, you know, now to actually being a teacher.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, with the academy, what you do yourself.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Do you get a lot from that? Do you feel like you get a lot of rewards from it? Is it a similar feeling, a totally different feeling to what you'd have like in a DJ booth playing to 5,000 people, you know?
Yeah, I get way more out of it than I've ever got out of anything, because it's something that you can't talk about this stuff with anybody else, right? I can't go and have a conversation with my mum about synthesizers or your other half, you know what I mean? Do you want to look at this oscillator? Just listen to the way it sounds. You know, nobody wants to hear that. Whereas with teaching, it's your opportunity to be able to just, you know, talk to people who want to know about it. So it's like getting a whole weight off your shoulders, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's my life. That's all I do all day long. So to be able to talk about it and then be able to impart that knowledge on somebody is like it's a weight off my shoulders. Almost.
I can see it in yourself now. You see it in your body language, like how much you're smiling, how much you get from it.
Yeah.
So you do really get a lot of satisfaction from
Love
that,
it,
from
yeah.
teaching.
Sometimes I actually put too much into it and it can be quite draining because, you know, sometimes it's not reciprocated. But that's not, you know, that's just the only downside of it.
Yeah.
You know, but I absolutely love the teaching side of it. And it turns out that I'm really good. I get paid to go and do lectures in universities. I mean, what's that about? I'm like, I used to be in a coal mine.
Well, that's because you've got 40 plus years in the industry. You know, come on, you've got the experience, you've got the legend, you've been there and got the T-shirt through all of these different changes.
I know.
From top of the pops to underground. You know, it's
to us talking
amazing.
here, it's like, I
Yeah.
mean, you guys are still interested in me, so it's like, must have been something right over the years.
Honestly, you know, I think you are so highly regarded in the music industry, but in the production world, in the educational world. You're such a good teacher.
Thank you,
but you've
Pete.
got so much to share as well. You know?
So are you.
I mean, look, I've worked with you for a long time, and still I see you and see you talking, and I'm just like mouth open and like inspired the way you talk. And I think so many people you've worked with feel that as well.
Yeah.
And you've definitely helped so many people.
Yeah.
I mean, you must have some special memories from past 5-10 years of teaching people and seeing someone achieve something and really feeling something from that.
Oh my God, it's such a proud moment. I feel like a proud dad, you know. There was a thing the other week, wasn't there, where Alex, one of our masterclass students, he won this thing at the Fabric Live, Toolroom Fabric Live thing, and he just did the masterclass with me, and it's like, oh my God, like I'm somehow responsible for this.
Yeah.
You know,
because you feel a real sense of pride with that.
Real
You
sense
should
of
have.
pride. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And it was amazing what he come up with. And I could hear all of the stuff that I sort of showed him as well. And it was like, you know, to see like, there's another student. We've got loads of students that are all kind of there's a lot of them doing well.
Yeah, there are so many that have had different levels of success, haven't there, since working them.
And you see them posting on social media and everybody's getting involved and like, oh, this is amazing. And you're like, oh, I just feel so proud. It makes me emotional.
It's good, mate. That's really nice. That's real. That's real. And do you think that's is it a similar sort of thing that you get from like, when you get that satisfaction, as an artist going back and records doing well, playing a gig and it's amazing and you stand back and you get that sense of satisfaction? Or is it very different?
Yeah, it's a different thing. But, you know, I feel like I've contributed everything I can musically. There's no point for me to put any more music out there. You know, it's like I've said everything I want to say. Now it's time for other people to go and do it. And if I can, in some way, have something to do with it, then that's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
It is. And do you know what I love the fact as well is that you always say that you feel you're even still learning.
Yeah.
To this day, like you're still learning, especially like you're always on it with new technology, new gear, new ways of producing as well.
Yeah.
So you've got that inquisitiveness and then you want to pass that on to people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I absolutely love it. Some people just, you know, don't get it. Some people, like, it's a bit new. They're a bit too new for it kind of thing. But generally, like, it goes so well.
It's amazing, mate. It's amazing. Honestly, I think you should be so proud of your career. I'm going to hit you with a big question, right, to wrap this conversation up. But it's always a tough one. You know, when someone like asks you what's your favourite record?
Oh, yeah,
like,
I don't
can't
know.
answer. If you could give one piece of advice to new producers that are kind of like dreaming of like that first big release, that they want to get that first big record out and get it signed, what would be your number one piece of advice?
Right.
Apart from reading the contracts carefully.
That'll come later. But I think it's your mindset. Don't expect it to be life-changing. And so therefore, and don't expect it to be, how can I put it? Sort of treat it like, just make sure you're doing it for the love. You're authentic. Because authenticity always shines through. If you do something for an outcome, people will be able to smell it. Just be authentic and make sure you love what you're doing. Because if you love it, everybody else will love it. That's simple.
Amazing. It's lovely advice, mate. Absolutely lovely. I feel like I could sit here and chat to you for hours.
Me and you could talk for hours.
I could
days.
talk for hours. Honestly, it's been so enjoyable, mate.
Oh, mate, thank you.
So enjoyable. Honestly, you should be really proud of your career, mate. You're absolutely smashing it.
Oh, dude, don't. It's like, this is your life.
I'll get the book. I'll get the book out. Oh, amazing. Thank you, mate.
No, thank you.
for taking the time, mate.
Oh,
Loved it.
Same. Get to talk about myself, innit?
It's been brilliant.
Thank you, mate.
Awesome stuff.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
man.
dude.